Hi everyone, this is Mira. Today's inspiration coming from the garden. I'm going to share with you how to paint wildflowers. I like to have the object directly so I can study the views from different angles. Alright, let's get started. Since the size of these flowers are so tiny, I will just pick particular parts that I want to paint. I sketch the overlook of the flowers along with the stems in a way that I want to see on watercolor paper. I cannot emphasize enough as a beginner to paint objects several times before we begin the painting process, as acquiring muscle memory will make us less nervous when we eventually lay our final sketch on the watercolor paper. So here is my sketch on my Baohong watercolor paper. Since I don't intend to make the sketch to be hyper-realistic, there are many parts of the drawings are changed and are out of proportions. But as a beginner, it is important for us to keep going and enjoy the learning process instead of being frustrated due to our own high expectation. Just learn the mistakes and get better next time. I like synthetic brush for small areas to avoid bleeding, as it allows me to pick up less amount of water. I use this to paint layers before the details like the base colors and also the shadows. For the petals, I use Napples yellow instead of white to make the color emerge from the background and to give a warm ambience. Napples yellow is a go-to color for me whenever I need to paint white flowers. For the receptacles and the stems, I use olive green. First layer should not be too thick, as you want to save darker colors from thicker consistency for the shadows and the details. Now let's move on to the shadows. As I mentioned before, for shadow you can either use thicker consistency, drier brush, different color, or mix the color that you use for the base with darker shade like Payne's gray or black. Looking at my object, the light comes from the left side, which means the shadow is supposed to appear on the right side of the wildflowers. But here I switch it to the other side as if the light comes from the right side. However, the concept remains the same. If you are not used to painting shadows of the object, the easiest way is to place shadow on the opposite side of where the light comes from on the object. It will give some dimension immediately. For the petals, as you can see, the base is Napples yellow, but I use light gray for the shadow as I find it sufficient for Napples yellow to give some dimensions. Another brush that I use is Mary's brush made from weasel hair, which the size is 0 for the details. For tiny brush like this, I feel like it's better to use animal hairs to balance the amount of water it can pick, because the size itself already picks less water. To give a sense of details, which makes the painting a little bit more complex. The darker the area, the more lines should be added. On the top part of the petals, I give dots and dashes also to indicate that the petals, which resembles fibers, are being tied together. If you notice, these little wildflowers have pinkish hairs on top of its receptacle, so I decided to use pink layered with purples to get a deeper look. I add thin dark lines on the left side of the shadows area to make it look more dimensional. Here I add more small lines on the receptacles to indicate that this area has small hairs. So here it is, the final look of the wildflowers from the garden. I hope you find this tutorial useful for your painting of the same or similar flowers. Thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye!